up with Angela Yee. I'm here. Jasmine Brand is here.
Yes.
For the first time ever, Maya's in the seat.
Hello.
And listen, Maya's in town because you're actually on the Queens of R&B tour.
Yes.
So how's that been going so far?
It's been amazing. I think we are maybe 17 or 18 shows in now.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gone by so fast, but it's such a treat. You know, those are all the songs that I grew up on and the songs that raised me, soundtrack to my teen years. And I'm singing along with the audience every night, just watching the other ladies.
Isn't it so weird that there's kids now that are like, I grew up on your music?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's funny because we're like, I grew up on that. And then there's people who grew up listening to Maya.
Right. You know, we actually speak about that during the show, talking to the audience, just the journey. You know, some of us are celebrating 20 plus years, 30 plus years on stage. So it's just a blessing.
And you signed your first deal at the age of 16. So that was, I mean, the music industry was so different back then, too.
Yeah.
Than
90s.
what it is today. And I remember last year you celebrated 25 years since your first album. That's amazing, though, because there's a lot of people who started in this business who have since been like, all right, I'm done, or may not have the longevity that you've had. But even independently, you were one of the first people to be like, I'm going to do my own thing.
Yeah. It's been a journey, you know.
What triggered you?
25.
What triggered you going
26.
independent?
Oh, well, it's been 26 years. And I was 16, like you mentioned, when I got my first deal offered by an independent label in Washington, D.C. And then I signed with Interscope in 97, 98, around that time, who distributed the first album. And transferred to Motown, which was an R&B label, because initially Interscope was a rap and rock label.
Okay.
And I was
Yes, it
probably
was.
one of the very first R&B test dummies to see if they could have an
Sometimes
R&B
that works
department,
and
right?
sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
Yeah. And so it was a great run. I stayed within the Universal Music System and umbrella, and I just transferred to Motown, who was specifically R&B. And we worked on my fourth studio album. It was like an accidental release, you know, release dates change. And there are different territories in the world that sometimes don't get the memo, and so it leaked in Japan. And they loved it, and I got offered a deal independently. I left, of course, Motown after that situation, but no bad blood. Things happened. It was circumstantial, and I just decided to say, hey, okay, well, what's independence? Let me try this out and see what it's all about. And so I learned immediately along the way, you know, executive production happened, casting my own producers, assembling an album, funding, of course, and what that looks like.
That's always fun.
Yeah, the legal aspects. Yeah, so it was
I felt like you were doing it when it wasn't cool being independent, when it wasn't, you know, you.
it was different. It was unheard of,
Now
honestly.
people, you know.
You know, I think that also back then it was a lot harder because it wasn't like we had social media to directly go to people. It wasn't all these different outlets also it wasn't set up to be independent. It was like, who's going to work the record and who's going to send you to do the radio, who's going to pay for the marketing budget. Because sometimes it is hard to have to fund things yourself too when you see that money. But at the end of the day, you're always funding things yourself. You just don't know it.
Yep.
Absolutely. But being independent, the pro of that is that you see everything coming in and going out, but you also dictate what your budget is, you know, and you can make some life decisions and professional decisions simultaneously and say, well, is this song more important than my family? Or, you know, radio is very expensive, and you're also learning as you go as to how much things really cost, because you don't really see a budget breakdown when you're sort of going through the motions.
They can tell you anything.
As
too.
a major label artist, you don't see every nickel,
They're like,
penny, dime, and cent. Yeah.
oh, we went out to dinner, so that came out of your budget. And there's meetings that happen that you're not even at. And you're like, hold on, when did
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even there.
Yeah, so you have to call those shots and make some decisions as far as how fancy you want to go, as far as the hotels and the flights and all kinds of things. Are you taking dancers? Are you taking a fleet of people on the road? Are you keeping overhead to a minimum? So that's where the entrepreneur and the businesswoman comes in constantly.
I've heard artists talk about that, how they have to. I've heard artists go on tour and say they came back with no money. And you would
That's
think.
possible,
Yeah,
for sure.
They raked it up. But if you care enough about your show and you want to make sure you have dancers
Yeah.
and you want to make sure your stage is set up properly and all of that, it costs a lot of money.
I can tell you this. The independent journey teaches you how to be everybody simultaneously.
You're like, I'm my backup dancer.
At the same time, it teaches you to go grind in ways that, people may talk really bad about you initially, but it also teaches you to improv and figure it out as you go without a lot of things. The funding, the budget, the hair and makeup. Sometimes you got to be that too. The travel agent.
Do you know how to do your own makeup?
Everything. Sewing, stylist. You have to learn how to do that and fall on yourself. Because there's not always going to be somebody available or within your budget constraints.
And I think it's a good skill to have too, because there's been times you go on the road and if you don't like your makeup,
what are you gonna do?
What are you supposed to do? Yeah.
Thanks.
Now you came in here with this Prince T-shirt. I told you I had that same T-shirt. And Prince was also very big in your life, and he was also a person who talked about record labels and being independent quite a bit too.
Yeah.
So what are some things you learned from Prince?
Well, he's a phenomenal talent, first of all, and he really, really cared about his artistry, and I think coming from that very sensitive place of protection and something that he loves, but also is his God-given gift. He wanted to protect that for the next generation. For those that he obviously believed in could have longevity or cared about their craft, and to make sure that at least in some way, shape, or form, they maintained spiritual independence, financial independence, a mindset to always move forward in independence, even if you are partnered with a major label, because a lot of times you do have to do things in order for them to catch up or jump on the bandwagon, etc. But to protect your art is to also protect your mind, your sanity, because a lot of us breathe music. We cannot exist or function without music in our lives every day or utilizing a gift. There's also all kinds of business models that he played with, as far as like incorporating the CD to count for a sale, that UPC code, inside of his concert tickets, working in tandem with AEG and Live Nation, and not necessarily sticking to the structure and the older structure that a lot of us were used to coming from the major label system. And obviously the world is always changing. So he was ahead of his time and his vision, but I think it was more protection and care. And he'd been fighting since he was probably in his teens, 18, 19, even 20s, till the time he ascended for ownership of his masters. And he regained many of them. I don't think he regained Purple Rain, but he thought it was very important because he pretty much did everything.
You see his estate now, they're having this whole thing with his documentary that's supposed to come out. It was like a 6-part series. I want to see it so bad, but I understand wanting to make sure that it's done properly, because they said there were some issues, within that. And it's hard because you know how much he controlled everything that he had going on.
He was very
and
particular.
He's not here to say, this is true, this is not true.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Prince song?
Oh, that's very, very hard. I have to break it down in categories, All
right, tell us. I want to hear.
Probably the favorite slow jam would be Insatiable, actually. Insatiable. When I'm riding in my car, on a road trip, it might be Controversy.
Okay.
There's a lot of...
You don't have one of all, just...
No. Okay. There's too much of a catalog.
It is true, because he went through a lot of different...
phases.
And even songs that he wrote for other people. People don't even understand.
The Crystal Ball album is amazing. There's just so many non-singles as well. And untapped territory that many of us haven't even heard. Gems that are my favorites as well, but it's very hard to choose.
I can
with
tell
an
she's
artist
really,
like Prince.
Angela, what's your favorite Prince?
Adore is my favorite Prince song ever. I love that song so much.
Yours?
Purple Rain. That's so
of course.
But, and even the movie Purple Rain, that is like an iconic thing that I feel like no one's ever can recreate the impact of a Purple Rain to this day, and the soundtrack that went along with it. But I see, look, we all love Prince. All right, now, since this is your first time here, we definitely got to get into some Maya history.
Okay.
Because we haven't had you on the show before. So talk to me about a young Maya signing her first deal, because I know you did go to college for a hot stint. And your father was also a singer, right? So how did they feel about you saying, this is what I want to pursue full time?
Well, my dad is still doing his thing. Like, music runs through his veins and something that he has to do constantly. So he's always gigging, old school term, and runs his own business as well. And I watched him a lot growing up, whether it's in the studio recording or preparing for a live show. His band would always be over the house, in the garage or the living room, neighbors complaining all the time, but music is in our veins. So, yeah, both of my parents were my managers at the time. Prior to that, I was involved in the arts a lot.
Okay.
And in school throughout my entire grade years.
You played the violin?
Yeah. Gospel choir, violin,
What kind of,
all kinds of arts.
what kind of band? I've lived in DC like 20 plus years.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What kind of, was it a go-go band that he was in, or was it just soul, or what was it?
It was an everything band,
Okay.
mostly soul, funk, R&B. And then, of course, they did, corporate gigs as well and top 40 as well, covers. But everything and anything with my dad. But I was exposed to the arts very, very early on in my childhood. And I was initially a tap dancer, a hoofer, and all kinds
So you
of
used to
things.
love like the tap dance kid and stuff like that.
All of it. I came to New York when I was about 10 with my mom, tap dancing the Macy's Day Parade.
Oh,
You
wow.
did.
Saw-
You was lit.
Your mom was like a momager.
Yeah, she really was. And majorettes, all kinds of stuff. I saw Jelly's Last Jam starring Gregory Hines
Wow.
when I was 10 years old. It changed my life, and I thought Broadway would be something that I would pursue after studying, of course, theater in college, etc. But things happened, and actually through tap dance, one of my friends, shout out to Bakari Wilder, my first dance partner, we would all, kind of be freestyling and just doing things on our breaks, lunch breaks. And he encouraged me to sing because I would sing. And so it was my peers through the arts that encouraged me to say, oh, you should really take this seriously and record. Ask your dad if you can go to a studio or something like that. So I did. And, being a dad in the entertainment business,
Yeah, that's
was the
tough,
last
but yeah.
thing he would probably want for his daughter. But they were very supportive parents, both of my parents. And I thought, hey, she has the experience, the discipline through the arts. Well, we'll do what we can to invest in recording demos, etc. And it was very basement musician friend of my dad's basement just to start. And then eventually my parents put together like $1,500, which was a lot of money back then, to record my very first professional demo.
Ooh.
And Hawk Islam from University Music Entertainment, while I was in high school, he was an independent label that had Pure Soul, girl gospel group, Drew Hill at the time,
Oh.
from
that makes sense with
Baltimore.
Yeah,
Cisco
the
and-
Cisco, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
And he was actually looking for a young female artist that he could sign. And I was local to Washington, D.C., Maryland, PG County area. My dad always had had my demo tape, my bio, and all of that, 8x10.
Tape, too.
Yeah.
It was a cassette,
yeah.
right?
And
And he
recorded
heard it.
on another double tape recording. Okay.
Yeah, and he heard it. And he said, well, I want to check her out and see if she can sing live. So he came to my house after school one day. I came downstairs. I wasn't prepared, but I sang a couple songs a cappella for him, and he offered me an independent deal. And I spent about 2 years recording from 96 to 97 and released my very first album in 98.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, and that's kind of what you call artist development.
Yep.
Because it wasn't like you just put out a song right away. Because now it's like sometimes things go viral and artists aren't ready for that.
I mean, as a teenager, how ready can you be unless that's your full-time everything with
Yeah.
tutoring, et cetera. But I've learned a lot along the way. You do what you can, but when the opportunity knocks, you might not be 100%, but you go for it. And I think, of course, 26 years later, and I better have, of course, improved
Right.
in every aspect of my life, career, womanhood, and rightfully so. So it's a blessing.
I read, and I don't know how true this is, I read that you know, when you were growing up in D.C., there were some points where you were bullied.
Of course. I mean, kids are mean as heck. Everybody goes through it, you know?
What was that experience like for you? Did that make you shy, more shy? Did it make you stronger?
It made me everything. It made me very much an introvert, but also an extrovert in places that I felt material things were not the focus, aesthetics were not the focus, but maybe a common denominator, a common goal. The arts is where I felt safe. It saves lives because everyone is focused on something together versus what you're wearing, what you don't have, how you look. I mean, teenagers, we go through so many different phases hormonally, cliques, validation, acceptance, body changes, a lot of things. And of course, we live in a society that's very materialistic. And school can be very, very much a task just to get through, to try to not even fit in, but just get through the day by fitting in so that you're not a focal point.
You're right.
And you just blend in and stay out of the way, because it's still like that in many different places. I was one of those kids that prayed for uniforms. You know what I'm saying? Right. It was a task, like an hour trying to decide what I was going to wear the night before so I would not get teased. And that's not even my personality to even focus on outfits and being a part of a clique, but it's just to get by. So I understand, even with social media, I don't understand what these kids today have to go through.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're connected
Way
globally.
worse,
globally.
And at any moment, something can make you go viral that you did not anticipate.
Yeah, I mean, even as an adult.
Yeah, that's true.
You say the wrong thing or say a soundbite and it gets clipped, etc. So there's a lot of filtering, and you can never be safe. You just roll with the punches.
I like that you were able to share that, though, because that will help people. Because people might look at you, Maya, and be like, there's no way. She's always been fly and lit. But being able to say that is something for kids who are coming up and maybe going through it, or for bullies to understand you might be bullying the next Maya. Maybe you need to sit down and chill out. But
maybe you need to sit down and chill out.
But it is an important discussion to have, because sometimes I think people see us as adults and think we always had confidence and always had it like that.
I had anxiety getting ready for this interview today. I'm like, oh my gosh, this curl is not curling over here. Like, what's going on? It's raining outside.
Really earlier.
Oh,
I don't know
boy.
what happened.
It's going to be on camera. I mean,
so it's a lifelong thing.
Well, when you're dealing with opinions, and of course the world is full of them, and we're all now connected globally, not even regionally, in your little community or your block. It's globally, everyone has an opinion, and you're never safe. And you have to understand that not every day is going to be perfect. And I think we can all learn from perfectionism. No one's perfect, but we are perfectly made, and no one's your maker. And so I think that's where spirituality is key. And owning every part of yourself and understanding there's going to be some bad days, horrific moments, and rolling with the punches, and also learning how to laugh and not taking everything so seriously, but with a grain of salt. And that's where foundation comes in. And it takes time.
And knowing that things go away pretty fast. Like, sometimes things are a big deal to us.
It feels so intense
in the moment.
Yeah.
But the rest of the world is like, it's not that big a deal. But even though to us it is, it's okay to have that moment. But then you have to be like, all right, something else is going to happen. And this will slide right over. Now, so you did go to college for a semester. What were you going to go to college for?
Well, I actually didn't know at the time. I just enrolled for speech communications. That's not something that was my passion. I was taking dance as well. But I didn't know. Nothing actually called me that I was solid in making a decision on. So it was just going through the motions, honestly.
Yeah, you felt like you're supposed to do. This is what you do. You
felt like
graduate
I was
high school, you go to
to.
college.
Yeah, but it was not where my heart was. Now, living life, of course, I would totally study psychology, you know, and maybe holistic healing, being through the journey I've been on. So I have a lot more clarity just with life experience as far as studies are concerned. It doesn't necessarily have to be college either. It could be independent education. So yeah, there's a lot of pressure to conform to societal standards, and I think it's very important. Education is key everywhere, but it doesn't necessarily mean the traditional way. Sometimes a year off just traveling or experiencing life can give clarity. versus wasting 4 years or 8 years.
I'm a forever student, I always say, because,
Yes,
you know, I'm quick to
absolutely.
take a class on something. I don't have to necessarily go to traditional school, but I will be like, oh, maybe I should get licensed in this. Or nutrition is something I've always been interested in, too. That's why people talk about your journey with becoming a vegan a lot, because they attribute that also to how good you look, just as far as like healthy, youthful. It looks like, okay, she's eating her fruits and vegetables.
The skin is skinning.
The skin is skinning for sure. You know, and so talk about that journey with veganism, and even I think clarity in your mind too.
Well, it all started with my independent journey. I started creating these challenges of discipline to sharpen my mind and my spirit, taking away something that I absolutely really loved or felt like I was addicted to, because it was a psychological thing that I felt like I had to build for myself, and also learn how to trust myself in moments that something might have been taken away from me again. And so it was really something that I made an effort to do every single year. And it led me to vegetarianism, which also led me to veganism, and taking it a step further in learning what that was, but also the different tiers. Oh, there's a lot of processed food. Doesn't mean healthy.
Yeah, it could be vegan,
what does that
but
mean?
Extremely processed.
You know, and just learning how to do better, and also identify where I'm slipping, you know, and how I need to do better, and so I can show up better for others. It starts with me. So it's always a challenge, especially on the road.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's
with
gotta be
processed
tricky.
food.
Traveling and being vegan.
Processed food. There's a lot of restaurants out here nowadays that make it so easy to go vegan, but I make it a point to try to stay more clean, at least a balance.
Yeah.
So I have my fruits and my smoothies and my juices and my tonics in the morning, and do herbal cleanses and detoxes because it's necessary, because I love to eat and I love to cook, and I love to pig out too, because there's just so much great food.
Listen,
Vegan food.
What do you pig out on?
Yesterday I had vegan jerk chicken salad and a
The
Nashville
Simpson has
hot
great.
vegan chicken wrap. I'm like, oh, it's so much in New York City too.
you know what I still can't get into? Fake cheese.
Yeah.
That's the one.
I don't mind it.
I don't really like fake cheese. It's hard to
like
find a good one. Like fake cheese to me sometimes can
Yeah.
be very cardboardy tasting. I feel like I could do vegetarian, but I need some real cheese. I can't do vegan because of that. I don't know.
There are actually brands within like the last 5 to 10 years that have tremendously improved, and it tastes like, you know, the real thing, but much, much better and easier to go vegan now.
It is easier because I
like
feel
there's a
like when
plan,
you go
though.
places, you do have to make sure it takes a lot of discipline. And you talk about discipline. What were some of the other things that you said? I'm giving this up, like when you were disciplining yourself.
Celibacy, wine, any kind of alcohol.
You can just skip over celibacy, celibacy, wine.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of
alcohol, though.
social drinking. There's a lot of free bottles in your section.
That's
You
a
know, when you're
fact.
doing club dates and all kinds of stuff, it's just always around you. Not that I had any addiction. I never did. But I do love wine. And so I just gave it up for a year just because I
Just
felt
for a
like,
year,
oh,
though.
That's not
We're
bad.
back.
Well,
Right.
that is bad.
all right.
Yeah.
I can do without it. Why not start with that? And actually, that's the first thing that I started with.
Is no wine.
Yeah.
How about now? Do you drink?
Yeah, I actually
okay.
have a wine of my own. It's
Okay.
vegan, organic, non-GMO.
Should have brought it.
It takes a bit to order.
We should order
I wasn't
some.
even
Let's
thinking
order
about
some.
it.
Order some.
But yeah, I'll send you guys a bottle.
No, we're gonna order it. We're gonna. How about
Yeah,
that?
we'll order. Yeah, we'll support. What about this celibacy thing?
Yeah.
What was
I
the
mean,
longest you went?
Ooh, 7 years.
7 years.
Yeah.
7 whole.
It's like a divine number. 7 years.
That is, and then you say
Broke
goodbye?
it. Yeah.
Okay. 7 is a long. That's a good run.
That's a good. Now, what did that do for you though? Like when you think about your celibacy, did it clear you? Like, what did it do
Yeah.
for you? What did you
Clarity.
notice? Okay.
mental clarity. Just doing without. It shifted my mindset. It was no longer a focus. The rush to be, in a relationship, the rush to be married, the rush to be in something because that's what you're taught to do, to have kids or procreate.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of pressure on women to be able to do that, and also feeling valid. Why are we taught that we have to be taken or made an honest woman? Am I a liar?
Yeah,
There's a
well,
lot
look,
of
I ain't got no
things.
kids. I'm not
There's
married.
a lot of things. And I think
It's a lot
love
of
is
judgment
beautiful.
with that.
Love is beautiful. And I think the world always needs more of it. But I think you must start with yourself. And I have to start with self always versus expecting from other sources. So it was just reconditioning. And I think it's something that was necessary because it's a very spiritual thing. And you must be very selective if you want better results.
Right.
And so I think that's self-accountability. And it started with me by just shutting that part of my life off. Yeah.
Feels like that song Worth It. That you have
Yeah.
Maya Lansky.
Yeah, where you kind of rapping.
Y'all
Yeah.
heard it?
But-
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but you talk about that and people having things to say because that is tough too. Like a lot of people want to weigh in why she ain't wifed up, why she ain't got this, why she ain't got that. And people also
nothing
don't
wrong
know
with
your
that.
life because to be
Yeah.
clear, Maya don't be putting her business
You
out there
private.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a
Well.
reason for that because you grow up semi-sex symbol. There's a lot of things that are said about you, and you ingest all of that. You process or try to process all of that at an early age, and then the aesthetic that you may come with is totally opposite of who you actually really are, and it intersects in your life while you're trying to date or maybe taking photos with other celebrities, and so it can get very tricky. But I think a lot of things that are sacred should just remain private for me.
Right.
Until, of course, I'm
Wait till
solid
you pop out.
and I'm ready and the foundation of us is together. And even then it's a risk. So I don't really play with that part of my life publicly.
I can't imagine you coming out publicly with anyone.
I
I can't
know.
imagine it. I'll be like, what?
Like Maya,
you're so
like, yeah,
private.
because I've never seen
Yeah.
her do something like that.
Rumors, but we never had
Right.
proof.
But I'm not
We never
mad
see
at
you
it.
out.
But
Yeah, I
I'm
love
not
it.
mad at that at all.
I just have to be ready, you know,
Wait, yeah.
And he has
and
to be
solid.
ready, whoever
and
he
he
is.
got to be ready. And
That's a lot of pressure for a guy too.
It is. I'll be like, what? She's going public? What is happening?
yeah, it's very weird.
You know, and so let me ask you this. So when
Yeah.
you first put out It's All About Me and that song, that was a huge smash song for you. What was your mentality like at that time?
Oh, my mentality was, well, there was so many different mentalities. This was my first introduction to the world. Cisco, Drew Hill, they were all my label mates. They were very instrumental in the push. I was also a test dummy at the time at
Right.
Interscope, like the first R&B artist.
It worked.
In
Those are bangers,
between.
It
too, by the way.
worked. It worked.
Yeah.
And, you know, nothing is guaranteed in this life. So it was just a one day at a time process or mentality for me. Let's just take it one day at a time. I know that I have the discipline. I know that I believe in me. I hope they believe in me. Let's keep all emotions to a minimum and learn as you go. And then apply everything that you did with all of your masters, your teachers, the ones that made you get it right. No shortcuts. And there were a lot of horrific moments where you don't know how to conduct a sound check. You don't know what radio drops are.
Wow.
You're learning as you go.
I wouldn't know none of
And
that
so
stuff.
you're very vulnerable, and life just teaches you as you go. You're going to fall on your face a lot of times, and that's what I did. But they were my best lessons.
You know, it's interesting. You talk about being like the test dummy because you did have a lot of hip hop collabs.
Yeah, I did.
And so that was that the label, like, we're going to put Silk the Shocker on this. We're going to put Jay-Z, you and
Yeah.
Jay-Z. I mean, they were good.
They were all bangers
Decisions.
again.
So there was a magical era, 90s, where R&B and hip hop became fused together. Mary J. Blige was one of the first.
To do it.
Yeah, that whole movement. And I was very lucky to be a part of that on the end, of course, 97, 98. And it was just a part of the culture. You know, happy 51 years to hip hop, by the way. So it was a beautiful time. Everything was so exciting. And some of it was my idea because that's just what I grew up on. The labels, the independent labels, we thought it just made a different synergy. There's different fan bases when you fuse the two together, and different regions also. There was No Limit in the South. Then you have the New York cluster of like hip hop classic artists. So it was a blessing to work with everybody. In
Lady
my
Marmalade. Think about what a huge, huge moment that was.
The Caribbean,
Yeah.
Beanie Man.
We're going to get to
like,
that.
I
in a second.
mean,
Because it feels like that's your passion too, though. Like now, as you are making these decisions, seeing all these Caribbean artists that you choose to work with. I like that, because
That's her jam.
But to hear you with like a Ja Cure, with a Bounty Killer, with obviously Beanie Man. I saw you said Shaggy.
Yeah.
As well.
It's feel good music. I love to be in company with people that just exude joy and happiness and love to work with each other. And that's a part of the culture. So, and I love to be in the islands.
Yeah, listen.
Don't we all?
That's a fact.
And it's global music too. And, nothing like summertime music as well. So,
would you be open to like doing Afro beats or?
I'm always open.
I
Every
can see that.
genre is a
Dance.
playground.
Yeah, Junior Sanchez.
Yeah,
We saw you
Junior
doing a lot of great
Sanchez.
collaborations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Country.
Yeah, I've done,
You
some-
done
She
a
gonna
little
do her little
country.
steps, her little line steps. You know she know how to tap dance, so she know how to do everything.
everything. Music is music. It's just how you feel.
Have you ever
Yeah.
thought about, Broadway or Dancing with the Stars or?
Oh yeah, so I did season 9 of Dancing with the
Okay.
Yeah,
Stars.
she
That's right,
did.
that's right.
I felt like that was a
Years
cheat.
ago.
Yeah, that's not
That
fair.
was a cheat code.
Oh,
Yeah, because you can dance. Yeah.
I
It
know
don't
everybody
matter.
was saying that at the time too. I remember they were
I
like,
don't
"That's not
care.
fair. Maya could dance."
I was impressed for a mirror ball, but I did want to make sure I just didn't mess up every night. It's
Yeah, that was a
live
different type of grind.
TV.
Yeah.
I was so nervous every night. I've never done that kind of dance before.
Right,
Yeah.
it's different.
Did a little
That's
bit of
not
everything.
something that I grew up doing. And you're learning different types of styles and techniques every single week. And it's grueling, but it's beautiful. It's live television though, and you can't fumble. So the nerves were sky high. I learned a lot. I had an amazing dance partner, teacher, coach, and it was a learning experience. But yeah, it also works very differently. You can be perfect all day long on Dancing with the Stars. It's not
One
about that.
misstep.
It's about the votes.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
You
a
know what I'm
fact.
saying?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
about
yeah.
your fan base. It's
Yeah.
about people calling in. If they think you're safe and they're not voting because, you just got perfect 10s, that's where you can
That's
get
too
booted
much.
off
Too much
the,
work.
off the show.
Kind of, you know what? I watched
Yeah.
for you though, because when you were on there, I was like, Maya is gonna kill it, and you did. I'm gonna be honest. Just because
She's like,
Thank you.
what do you love to do outside of work? Like what
Outside
does
of work?
Yeah, outside of what we know about you.
Oh,
Like
my
what's a typical like a
goodness.
day off for Maya?
I am so country. I love animals. I just love to go lay in the grass. I bought a tent during the pandemic. I slept outside, stargazed. I'm
earthy.
really simple. I love the ocean. I love just to be in nature. Traveling is one of probably the top 3.
Okay.
Yeah. Adventure, of course. I've been skydiving a couple times.
wow.
And life is,
Skydiving.
She said a couple times.
Listen,
exploration, I think.
yeah, skydiving's I think I watched some videos I shouldn't have.
I love comedy too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's your-
What about
Angela
you
likes
all?
Angela likes comedy.
Just love to laugh.
Who's one of your favorite comedians?
I
Not the
mean,
favorite, but one of your.
Old school Richard Pryor.
Okay.
That's fair.
Yeah. There's so many though. I love comedians. I think Dave Chappelle is a genius.
Well, he's very DC
how
too.
he
is,
does
yeah,
it.
very DC.
So dry, but so amazing
With a
at the same
straight
time.
face.
It's strategic, man.
I could see Dave
oh my
Chappelle's never hit you up
goodness.
to come to Yellow Springs.
Ange's about to hook that up.
Yeah, listen, you about to go to Yellow Springs to go
Yes.
to Dave's comedy shows in the cornfields. But he opened up like a comedy club out there too.
I have to check
And I
it
can
out.
see you being part of
He's
that
amazing.
experience.
Angel connect that.
How was
We've
Essence
done it a
Festival?
million times.
Essence Festival, I had about 26 hours in New Orleans, and we drove from Little Rock, Arkansas, from the tour, and I was up for a straight 48 to 72, and I hit about 6 or 7 events up all in one day. Outfit changes. It was beautiful because I actually never really got the chance to be fully engulfed in Essence Fest my entire career, to actually spend a day going to different booths and
Yeah.
different things are going on all over the place, and see so many people shake hands, take photos, and exchange words. I've done performances or like a kickoff party as well, but then we had to leave immediately in the past. But this was a day where I got to see, first of all, one of my inspirations, Miss Queen Afua,
Ooh,
who
okay.
I've worked with.
I know Queen
Host a
Afua.
vegan panel with her during
She
the
has
food
those
and
mid
wine.
drops under your tongue. They're amazing.
Oh, I had some from you.
I have
right?
her book too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Sacred Woman.
Yep.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay.
Yeah. So
And I know they love you at Essence too.
Really?
Yeah.
Girl,
I've seen
stop.
the videos.
Yeah, everybody was. I saw
Oh,
you
it
with
was so
Victoria
fun.
Monet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I get to see so many people that I've never met, but I feel like I've met. Kiki and I have spoken, but
She's funny.
oh, and Queen Afua and
Yeah.
I also, we've worked together virtually, especially during the pandemic, leading detoxes, but we've never met, but it felt like
She's
I met
amazing.
her. And this is the first time we actually got a chance to see each other face to face, hug, embrace each other. So, yeah, so many people were out. It turned into like a whole jam session at the Fillmore. Raheem Devon was there. Bilal came through.
I love
about
that.
Bilal.
Anthony Hamilton
Forgot
was
about
there.
Bilal.
Oh,
Everybody was singing. Luke James.
The mics were on.
The mics were on, but everybody was singing, freestyling. And so it was just a jam session moment.
because I feel like you don't just run into Maya anywhere. Like, it has to be she's there for a
She ain't popping
It ain't
out.
like we just doing a run into her. Like, you
I know.
what,
I get told I'm not outside enough.
Yeah, you inside. It's okay.
I'm always like hustling. I'm always doing a show, traveling, working on the paperwork, whatever it is. But this was a treat for me because I never really get to be outside like that.
But we like that.
In the mix.
We
I
like
it
that.
too. I
We
need to
like
do
it.
more of it.
I feel like, is there going to be a time where we'll get a full Maya story from Maya?
If that's what y'all want, sure.
Because there's so much, I feel like there's so much we don't know
Yeah.
that you went through. Because
yeah.
think about it, in that business, like, you blew up at such a young, early age. And like you said, you were a sex symbol, but you were so young. People saying things about you that weren't true and having to go through that and then becoming independent at a time when it wasn't so popular. And just your whole journey into spirituality, I feel like there's a lot about it that, you know,
Oh, yeah.
we don't have no idea
Angela
what's
can
going
help
on.
write it. You know what I'm saying?
No, but I'm saying I think people would
Absolutely.
love to hear that, Maya, just from you, because
Absolutely.
somebody who has maintained themselves in this business the way that you have, that's been consistent, that still today, like, people are so excited to meet you and see you out, because like you said, people have told you, we don't get to see you outside like that. I just think...
I will make more of an effort to take less shows
No, we're not saying
No,
that.
don't do that.
and
Don't
be
do that.
outside a little bit more.
No, we ain't saying
No,
that.
but
girl.
it matters.
Yeah.
Because the magic that happens and also the relationships that happen with balance, you know, I need to practice more balance. And I know that when I see the magic happen in my life, when, I can go work out and do a little bit more in that area than I'm supposed to versus just hustling, or make time, you know, for my friends and my family and myself. It's very important. Money's not everything. Hustle's not everything. So that's been a very difficult lesson. Being an independent artist, always in fight or flight, always in investment mode, always in grind, like it's never going to come. But also I've realized just within the last 2-3 years, it's very important to create balance in your life. Otherwise, you're going to pay for it
Yeah.
the hard way. Your knees are not kneeing anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
You do
A lot of things.
Do you do acupuncture?
I do.
Okay.
I just got a massage last night after rehearsal, and it was amazing.
Yeah, that's quite a
not
luxury.
acupuncture, but I got Thai, Swedish, hot rock, and deep tissue at the same
Ooh,
time.
that sounds
Lord.
painful.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, 'cause
And
you
pain
like
is
that.
good.
I do. I love it.
Yeah.
Pain
Yeah.
is good. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
But honestly, Maya, I feel like we could sit and talk to you for like hours. You have a great soothing voice too.
Yeah.
Just your regular talking voice. It's like, what else happened, girl?
Yeah, I know. When we
Oh,
listened to
my
her
goodness.
interviews, I was like, I love her talking, her speaking voice.
It's low today because, you know, I'm lacking on sleep. So, yeah, it gets a little deeper when I haven't slept.
But listen, you better come back and join us again. I know you're on tour and I know you're super busy, and I do appreciate it because I know Maya don't just show up and do interviews anywhere.
You need to
know,
get her
so-
to guest co-host next time.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Miss Angela. And you know what? Congratulations on this endeavor.
Thank you. Thank you.
I know you have your journey as well.
Yes.
And you are an entrepreneur, a boss, you know, a woman that knows herself and owns herself, every aspect, and I love to see it. So congratulating you.
I'm going to get you
the
some juices
whole-
next time, too. Since, you know, I know that we're both into
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Congratulations on this whole enterprise, endeavor, and life journey. Yeah. And It's a pleasure.
Well, thank you. I'm just glad you showed up. I was like, is Maya going to really sit with us? But I appreciate it. Not that you ever canceled or anything, but I was just like.
She's like, no, wait a minute.
I'm like, Maya don't do a whole lot of interviews, so I appreciate you for that so much. Is there a date for this next project? Because I know you've been put in.
Oh, I mean, which one are you talking about?
I know you have a few different ones done, but what's going to be?
I don't announce dates. I've learned not to do that anymore. But, you know, when all the components
soon
are there, it's ready. I will make that announcement.
I know, because we've heard Wine featuring Bounty Killer. You know, I like that. And I feel like you don't want to be in a specific genre either. So is that tough?
No, it's not, because that's why I have different projects.
Okay, so each project might be a different genre.
A specific direction.
So what do you have, like 3, 4 already? What do you have for us?
3 are actually already done. 4 is a bunch of stuff that I've revisited with Junior Sanchez and a couple of other producers just from the archives, and we've rebuilt a lot of the production. So I'm always in the studio. You know, it's a playground being an artist, and yeah, there's just much more to come.
Are labels hitting you up and like, come on, girl, let's...
They've always hit me up, but it's more about making sure the vision, also the outline of the project, the direction is very clear for me, and then also the timing, and the other components, the financing, all
the
of
bag
that.
components.
The good components too.
No, bag. Like
oh,
bag,
the bag.
like the money, the
Yeah, you know, it's not cheap, but
let's be clear.
and making sure that it's also aligning with who I am when I do release it, because things get old, and you got to go remix it to reflect how you really feel, so that it's authentic and true to who you are now, because you got to promote it. You got to really love it and live in it. And so when it's ready.
And you walked away with your masters when you left the label, is that correct?
So I have an old catalog at UMG, Universal Music Group.
Okay.
And my whole independent catalog are the masters that I own. But during an artist's career, there's a specific type of time where you can go regain your masters, re-record them, etc.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's happening. Okay, cool.
Here.
The time is here.
We'll be there when you do the live show. No.
Right.
Well, thank you so much, Maya, again. And next time, let Maya Lansky come and we'll talk to her too.
Oh, okay.
We like her.
We like that.
She's here today too.
All right. Well, Maya, ladies and gentlemen, it's way up.